Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So today we are going to talk about Srimad Bhagavatam topic from Canto 3, Chapter 31, the status quo, and the text number 39. Sangam, chapter 31, text 39 from Canto 3. Sangam na kuryat pramadasu jatu. Sangam na kuryat pramadashu jatu. Yogashya param param arurukshaha. Yogashya param paramarurukshaha. Mat sevaya pradilabdatma labo. Mat sevaya pradilabdatma labo. Vadanti ya niraya dwaram asya. Vadanti ya niraya dwaram asya. So I'll just recite the sloka and then we can follow it. And then after that, I will do word-to-word translation in synonyms. Sorry. Sangam na kuryat pramada sudha jatu. Do you want to repeat? Yogashya param paramarurukshahu. Matsevaya pradilabdatmalabo. Vadanti ya nirayadvaram asya. Sangam, association. Na, not. Kuryat, one should make. Pramadashu, with woman. Jatu, ever. Yogashya, of yoga. Param, culmination. Param, topmost. Arurukshaha, one who aspires to reach. Matsevaya, by rendering service unto me. Pradilabda, obtain. Atmalabha, self-realization. Vadanti, they say. Yaha, which woman? Niraya, to hell. Varam, the gateway. Asya, of the advancing devotee. So, anyone wants to recite the verse? Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu. Yogashya param paramarurukshaha. Matsevaya pradilabdatmalabo. Vadantiya nirayadvaram asya. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu. Yogashya param paramarurukshuhu. Matsevaya pradilabdatmalabo. Vadantiya nirayadvaram asya. Hare Krishna. One more time. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu. Yogashya param paramarurukshuhu. Matsevaya pradilabdatmalabo. Vadanti anirayadvaramasya. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Purport. The culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person who is always thinking of Krishna in devotion is the topmost of all yogis. And in the chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at the time understand the signs of God. Here the word pratilabdatmalabha occurs. Atma means self and labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their Atma or self, but those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self realized soul who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women. In the modern age, however, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes, and at the same time, he can become a yogi. In no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated here that the association of women is the gateway to hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in the Vedic civilization. Out of the four social divisions, the brahmachari, vanaprastha, and the sannyasi, the three orders are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the grahasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with the woman, and that relationship is also restricted for begetting nice children. If, however, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly. Hare Narayanam namaskritam naram shaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayavitiriya ashtaprayesha abhitresha nityam bhagavata sevaya bhavati uttamasloke bhakti bhavati nashtati Krishnaya Krishna Vasudevaya Devahi Nandana cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna everyone. So those who are in Zoom, because of the network, it's not in line. So when you speak, it just takes few moments for us to hear. So please forgive us from if you if we follow you a little late or if we over talk over you. Okay. So all right, we'll just and you can all mute yourself or if you have any questions or anything, you can. If you have any questions or corrections, then you can speak up. Otherwise, you can mute yourself. Thank you. Right. So this is very interesting verse. We all know how this verse talks about don't associate with women. This is an instruction. So Bhagavatam is full of question and answers, but also it gives us instruction through those answers or questions. And today we are going to cover a few things. So I'm going to give some examples. You might have already heard it, but yeah, again, if you have already heard it, forgive me or excuse me for hearing it again and again. But it's all from Sastras, so Bhagavatam and Puranas and etc. So we are going to cover in few different categories. One is how our acharyas dealt with women. Two, how demigods dealt with women. Three, how kings, royal kings in those days, Vedic days, dealt with women. And then rishis and demons as well. Okay, I try to cover as much as possible. And if not, maybe in another class we can continue. All right, so first thing is why all of a sudden here Kapiladev is talking about don't associate with women because it's the dwaram, Naragashya dwaram. So it's a gateway to hell. If you associate with Nari, Nari means women. Why? So when we go back to the beginning of this chapter, where Kapiladev is talking about these moments of living entities, he started with how the living entity is formed, how the conception is happening from the beginning of day one till the birth, and then after what happens as well. That's what we are now studying. So here Kapila Muni is giving the instruction to Devahuti. It's not that Devahuti needs anything like that, but still for the benefit of all of us who is going to study and also coming generations for their benefit, it is said. So clearly and very heavily, Kapila Muni said that this is you shouldn't do that, right? So that is you shouldn't associate with women. Now, so when we again go back to the previous verses, we understand that it was slow. Gradually, the heaviness of the instruction is increasing. The intensity or the gravity of the instructions are just gradually increasing. Now we are here telling, we also saw the examples of how Lord Brahma also was bewildered. So these examples are giving us, the case studies giving us the alarm or reminder to make sure what to speak of us. If Brahma can be bewildered, what to speak of us. That's how we should take it. That's what Prabhupada says as well, right? Okay, so we will just go through few acharyas. We already discussed Haridas Thakur example. We already well know about that fact. And then we also, and Adi Sankaracharya talks about this as well. Kimegam Narahasya, Kimeham Dwaram Narahasya Nari. So he says that he's answering to the disciples. They're asking, what is the thing that will make us go to hell? Then he answers that Nari, that means woman. And then we come to Vilvamangal Thakur, we know about the story of Vilvamangal Thakur, that how he was so much attached to the prostitute Chintamani, and when his father died, he wasn't even worried about the fact, he wasn't even emotional or anything. He did whatever he has to do in the last rites to his father, and then quickly he wanted to go back to his beloved, like this prostitute Chintamani. That time it was dark, it's night, it's raining, it's pouring heavily, and he was just crossing the river. He has to swim across the river, which he did, and the river was flooded, and he didn't care anything about it. He just continued his journey towards this Chintamani's house. And then when he reached this house, he noticed it is locked. The gate is locked. So nevertheless, he just wanted to jump over the fence. He did. How he did? He just climbed on the fence by holding on to the rope, but apparently that was a snake. And he jumped over the fence and then knocked the door, and she was wondering, Chintamani was wondering, at this time of the hour, at this time of the night, who is knocking the door? And when he opened, he was wet, he was so much in this moha, the kama, and she was disgusted. In fact, she was not excited to receive the lover, but rather she was so much disgusted. And then she preached to Vilvamangal Thakur. So she was the guru for Vilvamangal Thakur, spiritual master. Whoever gives instruction about Krishna consciousness, they are spiritual master. So whether the prostitute or Sudra or any, even if animal gives us that inspiration, sometimes I've heard cows come to the Bhagavatam class. In Tamil Nadu, I heard like one of the temples, it comes regularly. I don't know Tamil Nadu temple or any other temple, it doesn't matter. The point is, to the ISKCON Bhagavatam class, it comes regularly in the morning. So this is giving us inspiration as well. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the guidance or inspiration when he went to the toilet and chanted a Maha Mantra. Then the no no he then stopped it. Yes, he chanted. Then he stopped. He bit his tongue and said, "No, I shouldn't be chanting here." Then this little boy, I think his name is Gopal, and he instructed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that no, you can chant the holy name anyway because it is purifying, it is transcendental, it would purify the atmosphere. It's not the other way around. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took him as the, considered him as the spiritual master. So therefore, prostitute became the spiritual master for Vilvamangal Thakur. Then he left. He was disgusted about himself, and then he left the place. Then he became a devotee. He went to Vrindavan. But again, because of this past conditioning, when he saw a woman with her husband, he became a little bit lusty, and then the poor husband, he didn't know what was going on in Vilvamangal Thakur's mind. He asked, may I serve you? Then he said, yes, I want to spend some private time with your wife. And he was shocked, but still, to the sadhu, we need to do the service as a grahastha regardless of what was the request. So he allowed sadhu to have a private time with his wife. That time Vilvamangal Thakur realized, what a shame, what am I doing? And then he requested the hairpin from this lady and poked his eyes and became blind. And then he started writing poems. And then we know how Krishna, as a little boy, comes and gives milk every day to Vilvamangal Thakur, and Vilvamangal Thakur tries to embrace Krishna and etc. So that's different, part of the pastime. But the understanding is how he became liberated. He became Krishna consciousness. How he took the instruction and followed the instruction. Shishi Gauranatai ki jai. So how he followed the instruction is what we need to take from there. And then there is Yamunacharya as well. So Yamunacharya says that mukha vikaraha sustanisti vanamcha. So yadavati mama chetah Krishna padara vinde. So in this verse, he says that we need to take shelter of, when I take shelter of Krishna padara vinde, Ambrish Maharaj also says, Savai Pumshak Krishna Padara Vinde. So when we take the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, then we get the purification process immediately begin. Um, so then, Yamunacharya talks about how Nava Nava Rasadamani Udyantam Rantumashid Tadavadi Bata Tadavadi Bata Nari Sangame. So here he talks about Nari Sangame, that is association with women. Smaryamane Bhavati Bhavati Mukha Vikaraka Shustunistivanancha. When I think about the sexual attraction of a woman or having this kind of relationship with a woman, immediately my mind or the thoughts, I spitted my thoughts, and then my I distaste, distaste my lips, there is a distaste in my lips. So this is Yamunacharya. Immediately he realizes it's not that when we are in this material world, we can control everything. That's why Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. So Prabhupada often quotes this verse that we need to be having this Yukta Vairagya, using everything for Krishna. So when including our Indriyas. So then there is another verse talks, in Bhagavad Gita, that's yatato apihi kaunteya purushasya purushasya vipishchitaha. Vipishchitaha means even the learned person. Vipishchitaha. Purushasya vipishchitaha indriyani pramatini haranti prashabam manaha. So here again talks about that how difficult it is to overcome the thoughts of our mind, especially having these lusty thoughts. When it happens to learned person or realized person, it's very difficult for them to overcome as well. It's not just us who are not into that self-realization state yet. Self-realization means we need to understand that we are not this body. Practically, we apply that jnani vijnani, right? Jnani means the theoretical part of that knowledge, and then vijnani means who applies that knowledge practically and realizes it. So that's the difference. So when you have that realized knowledge, we are not this body, and one, that is number one, and then there is a connection between you and Krishna, that is number two. Then there is connection between you and the material nature, connection three. So these are this part of realization, not just one part. So when we say we are not this body, then we are not attached to this body. We won't even be looking at the mirror doing anything, putting makeup on, or even to put the tilak on, we don't even need the mirror. We don't even need to look at the mirror to see how we look, how we are going to look like when I put this clothes on or the tilak on. No need, right? But still we are materially, we are still bodily consciousness to some degree, from person to person, based on their amount of realization they have in their lives. So that's Bhagavad Gita teaching. So the similar verse, we always see that Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita goes together, right? Like goes hand in hand. So many verses that they have this replication of one verse in Bhagavad Gita as same verse with minor changes in Bhagavatam as well, and vice versa. So there is another verse talks about the same meaning, how the learned person would have difficulty. That is coming from Yayati's pastime, Canto 9, Canto 9 and chapter 19, yes. And Sahasra, what is it? Matra, Swashra, Duhitra, Va. That is Matra, mother, Swashra, sister, Duhitra, daughter. So, na vipistano bhavet. Don't sit with them in a solitary place. Na. So no, don't. What happens when you do that? Balavan, Indriyo, Gramo. So because the senses are so strong, it's not just Indriya. Indriya Gramo, the group of senses, was so strong. Balavan, Indriya Gramo, Vidvamsam. Vidvamsam means apikarshati. Vidvamsam means the same meaning as vipishchitaha. So vipishchitaha also the learned person. Vidvamsam also meaning the learned person who knows the truth, absolute truth. So even those learned people have this mind getting agitated when they think of this lusty thoughts. When we have Atma Krishna, Atma Indriya Preeti, that means you have this Indriya Preeti, that is this, the Preeti for your senses, then it becomes Kama. But when you have Krishna Indriya Preeti, when you wanted to satisfy the senses of Krishna, then it becomes Prema. So that's something that we can always check on us, whether the current sense gratification we are feeling, is it Atma Indriya Preeti or Krishna Indriya Preeti, so that we can differentiate. And then this Ramanujacharya also, um, he had disciple couple, and they're very poor, they don't have any money. And one time, Ramanujacharya sent the disciple to this family that they are going to visit this couple for lunch. For all the other disciples going to come. They are poor. So one time, what happened before this incident? The lady is very beautiful, um, and she was approached by the merchant, very rich merchant, to have this the union. And then he also offered some money for the groceries to look after the family. Then of course she was she's very chaste, and she chastised this man, and um, got him got him out of the house. Now that incident happened in the past, but now that this information came through that they are going to visit this family, and now they don't have any money. Like before also they didn't have any money, but somehow they were managing. Now to feed the guru and his followers, you need to serve them very well. So she was wondering, how can we do it? Then she remembered that, well, I remember this rich merchant who offered me this money for groceries. So perhaps I should take it, because now I need to serve our guru. I can do whatever it takes to serve my guru. And husband agreed as well. Yes, because we need to serve our guru. I'm so sorry that I'm helpless and hopeless, that I'm letting you do this and making you do this. My apologies, but yeah, let's do this. And the woman approached this man and talked about it, and he was so happy. And then made a booking, time and everything. He came, and because of Ramanujacharya's divine vision, he knew everything what's happening, and he gave this enlightenment to this rich merchant. As soon as the woman entered the room and the husband was guarding outside, this is very cruel situation for a husband or wife. You can imagine how guru would feel. He would feel more obliged, because how nice the couples are, going to that extreme, even to break their chastity to serve the guru. So that guru became very much pleased, and he gave this enlightenment to this rich merchant. And immediately he realized, and he offered obeisances to this lady and said, "Mother, I'm sorry, forgive me for my lusty behavior and actions, so please forgive me. I still give you the money, but I'm out of here. I will not be in your picture anymore. I'm out of here." And he left. So then they nicely served guru and disciple. So this is how, when we are in connection with guru and Krishna, even when there is lusty association, or people like this rich merchant comes along in our lives, or even if when we have our own lusty thoughts from our mind, it can be eradicated. Ninth chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sudhara Charu, even my devotee goes in the wrong path, I will bring him back to the right path, he guarantees. So therefore, it's not that we can do anything we want. That's an offense as well, like one of the 10 offenses and the strength of holy name, we shouldn't be doing any offense. So it's not that, but in case we drop the ball, then yes, Krishna is there to protect us, and Gauranitai as well, because they are so merciful incarnation, more merciful than Krishna. Then absolutely we get the blessings, and we get the inspiration within Paramatma Shirodakashaya Vishnu. We can, lead our life in Krishna conscious way. This is the strength of being in association of devotees, and in Krishna consciousness, in association of holy name and everything. Then we also know Ramananda Rai from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's the governor. He was the governor of Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and he is a great devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says he is my guru of Ragamar. Ragamar means the transcendental entrance to the spiritual realization. So because Ramananda Rai is so advanced, um, we know the conversation that happened between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had that much faith and trust in Ramananda Rai. One time, someone came and asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I have some questions or something that need answering. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended, yes, you go to Ramananda Rai. He's very good, advanced. Okay, I'll go. And when he went, Ramananda Rai was teaching dance how to the young girls. They are Devi Dasis and or Devadasis. Uh, of course, they behave a little bit awkward also sometimes to others. Regardless, everything is like how Prabhupada says, there is a knife, how you use the knife, whether as a thief you use the knife in a wrong way, or as a doctor how you use the knife in a right way to save a life, or thief uses the knife to kill a life. So it depends how you use it. So this Devadasis are they could be equivalent to prostitute also, but nevertheless Ramananda Rai treated them like, you know as instruments to serve Krishna. And in front of Jagannath they do this dancing to please Jagannath and his siblings. So he was just teaching these girls how to express this bhavas, how to do these dance steps nicely. So when this man who went to meet Ramananda Rai and noticed this activities of Ramananda Rai, engaging with young girls and teaching and touching the bodies of young girls, he was surprised and he was shocked, and he didn't want to ask Ramananda Rai because he thought he's not advanced. He's like doing nonsensical things. So he came back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and reported, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, 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 you should go back and yeah, ask. And then he realized his mistake, and then he asked questions, and then he gave such a nice answer. He went over and over, he didn't stop talking about Krishna. When even we do that sometimes as well, when someone asks about Krishna, then we just don't stop, we just keep going. Whatever we know, we just want to tell them, we wanted to give them that inspiration so they can take whatever they can take. So he kept going and going. Ramananda Rai's servant informing Ramananda Rai that you need to stop. You haven't even taken bath. You're still sitting and talking. It's afternoon. Please come. We have other activities to do. And then he said, yes, yes, I'll come. And then after some time, he, left to do his daily activities. So this is Ramananda Rai. So there is no lusty thoughts or any inclinations in the heart of Ramananda Rai. So that's devotee of Krishna, right? And Ramananda Rai, it is also said that that in the past life he was Arjuna. Then we can understand that, it's how strong he could be. And that's acharyas. Then we come back to some demigods. So we know Indra, and we know Chandra's pastime, Indra's pastime, but we'll start with Brahma. So we know Brahma's pastime, and then Brahma had a son called Atri, and he married to Anasuya. Anasuya is the daughter of Kardamuni and Devahuti, and Anasuya is sister of Kapaladev. So Anasuya, very chaste woman, and they had three sons, Dattatreya, and then Dhruvasa and Soma, Chandra. Soma is Lord moon god, Lord Chandra, and it's incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. These are the three incarnations. Dhruvasa is incarnation of Shiva, Dattatreya incarnation of Shiva. Sorry, Vishnu, and then Soma is the incarnation of Brahma. So Chandra, he misbehaved with Brahaspati's wife Tara, and that was wrong. Again, I'm bringing out all these pastime not to put a spotlight on these great personalities to undermine their position or anything like that. It's purely to remind us heavily about how these great souls made this mistake in short amount of time, and then they realized, or not realized, it doesn't matter. But of course, they would have realized, otherwise they could not continue with their positions. Krishna wouldn't allow that. But from these pastimes, we should learn again and again how we can eradicate even the inclination or the provoking thoughts, even before it comes, how we can eradicate that. So from these pastime, it should remind us constantly, like hammering our head, no, 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 that's, even they could fall down, what to speak of us. That should be our um, mood and attitude. So when Chandra had this loving affair with Tara, Brahaspati is the guru, spiritual master. It is also said why Brihaspati has to face this unfortunate situation, because he had affair with his brother's sister. Sorry, brother's wife, not brother's sister. So that's because of that reflection. Now Brihaspati is facing this unfortunate situation. So that's somewhere it says. But regardless, Chandra shouldn't have behaved that way. But again, it's all for our learning. That's how we should see it. So Chandra and Tara had this connection going, and then Tara became pregnant, and then Brahaspati, when he came to know about it, then there was a war between demons, because demons wanted to join Chandra, because their demons are always ready, right? To attack demigods. So whenever there is an opportunity, because now Chandra was neglected by all these demigods because of his behavior, so demon took that opportunity and supported Chandra. And these demigods on the other side supporting Brihaspati, and then they're fighting each other. And then Brahma has to come and stop that. And then now that she's pregnant, Brihaspati asked who is the child's father, and she was very much ashamed, and she didn't tell anything. Brihaspati said, immediately deliver the baby, and she did. When she did, the baby was so beautiful and very intelligent. And then the baby was so intelligent. The name of the baby was Buddhan, Mercury planet. So he asked his mother, Tara, harshly, tell me, you shameless lady, who is my father? This is very, again, unfortunate situation for a child to ask the mother who's the father. There are two men standing in front of him, whether Chandra or Brahaspati, who could be. Then, after much hesitation and Brahma's advice, and she agreed that yes, it was the son of he was the son of Chandra. And then that story stopped. Then Buddha married to Ila from Surya Vamsa, and Buddha is from Chandra Vamsa. Then they gave birth to Pururava, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, Pururava. So Pururava, we know the pastime how he was a great king, and when Urvasi was very much bored of the Swargaloka activities, she wanted to come down, and she did, and then they had the connection going. And then we know the story of Pururava and Urvasi, how much he was so much attracted to him. She gave the condition, like, if any of these three things happen, I will leave. Like if he becomes naked in front of her during the day, or if her two lambs were stolen, and there was another thing as well. So if any of these things happen, I will leave. And then she left because that happened. Demigods Indra was missing Urvasi. He wanted Urvasi to come back, so he made the arrangement. So Pururava would be embarrassed, and he did that. And then the mission was accomplished, and then Pururava was left alone. And that was another story, how he was feeling so morose, without Urvasi. So it is also said the demigods and the higher planetary, in higher planets, the celestial beings wanted to enjoy this type of union in the mortal world, and vice versa. So that's why these kind of relationship occurred those days, they say in Puranas. And then we see this they have this son called Pururava Urushicha had a son called Ayu, and then they had a son called Yayati. So if you look at this generation, pretty much everyone had some kind of sexual affair with others. So if you look at the entire generation starting from Brahma now Yayati. So it is again described in Canto 9 that Yayati, again great devotee, met Devyani, and Sarmishta was the friend of Devyani, and to cut it short, Sarmishta became envious of Devyani and vice versa. Devyani married to Yayati. They spent years of time together, but in between, when Devyani had a child, Sarmishta became envious because she was she became a maid servant. She was a friend, but because of Sukracharya, Devyani's father, he was very almost going to curse for something that happened. Then Sarmishta had to become maid servant by the instruction of her father. And she did. When she saw the child of Devyani, she also wanted to become a mother. So she approached Yayati, and then she also had son. When seeing this, Devyani became agitated and went to Sukracharya, her father, and complained about it. And then Sukracharya cursed Yayati and saying, "You will, you will become, you always will be old, and you'll become invalid. Your age will become invalid, and everything." Yayati became so sad because all he wanted to do is gratify his senses, and now that is lost, so he was so morose. And one of his son is Puru, the other son is Yadu, and but none of the other sons were ready to swap the age with father Yayati when he requested. Only Puru did, and then he enjoyed for 1000 years with his wife, with this with this youthness, like the young age that he regained from his own son. And Puru, you can see that how realized he must be to swap the age with his father, knowing the father is to go enjoy. It's like Bhishma Dev. When Satyavadi and Santanu, when they wanted to marry, Bhishma Dev had to sacrifice his life, and he said, "Okay, I'll remain brahmachari and the rest of my life," knowing Santanu wanted to marry at that age to another woman. So these showing that the realized personalities in the same family, so-called unrealized personalities as well. So Yayati, after 1000 years, he realized, and then wow, what I have done with my life, all my last 1000 years, I only had this union with my wife and enjoyed, and continue to enjoy it without making any progress in spiritual advancement. Then he started to give the metaphorical story to his wife Devyani about the she goat and he goat. Exactly whatever happened, he explained through this goat story. She realized and she became liberated. So this is lust to liberation. Yayati became liberated. So was Devyani. So that's story of this demigods. And Indra also, we know Ahalya and how Gautama Muni cursed Agalya and also cursed Indra to have Sahasrayoni, the thousand, um, yonis. So then coming back to this kings, we have several kings as well. We already covered this, Bhishma, Yayati, in under the demigods also because they had relationship with celestial beings. And there is Ravana, the demon, also had relationship with. Actually, in fact, it is said that he misbehaved with Ramba, another Apsaras. And when Urvasi and Pururava had this issues with when Urvasi has to be away from Pururava, then she actually gave instruction to Pururava to make him understand that, look, women are not what you think. They are very selfish. If you offend them even a little bit, they will be ready to take any action to make a revenge. So you need to be careful of women. In Garuda Purana, it is said that women's sweet speech are blessed by the moon god, and women are like fire. These are the things said in Garuda Purana. So it's not that it's not always women are bad. Even some elsewhere in the Shastra, it is said, so don't associate with your own family if they are not favorable to your Krishna consciousness. It's simple as that. Any association for woman, it's a man, and man, it's a woman. Is it's the representation of Maya when we wanted that sense of gratification. But when we see Pandita Samadarshinaha, everyone as this individual souls of part and parcel, Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, being part and parcel of Krishna, then we don't have any problems. So we know that how Shurpanaha became agitated when her senses were not gratified by Lord Ram. Then we know what story that happened. Ravana kidnapping Sita and everything, and Kaikeyi as well. It's not always this lusty behavior that makes you end up in hellish path, but also any um, kind of this kind of behaviors that is not in a righteous path or in a spiritual path, then definitely, like Kaikeyi also misused her boon from Dasratha Maharaj, and then made the whole story of Ramayana. So yeah, so these all these stories we hear, we must understand that, yeah, as long as we are not in the association of holy name, Krishna, Guru, or devotees, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, then we will be in trouble. Whether it doesn't matter whether we have to be in association of men or women or children or other living entities, doesn't matter. And Saubari Muni, another example as well, in Yamuna, he was chanting, meditating. He could have been liberated nicely because he offended Garuda, because Garuda took one big fish from the Yamuna river. He stopped Garuda from coming back again, because he thought he was as if controller or protector of the fishes. No one is protector of anything. We are just taking care of things, living entities or family or our properties. But he thought otherwise, and therefore he cursed Garuda. It's not that Garuda can be cursed by anybody. He's Lord Vishnu's carrier, and it's just for the pastime's sake. Because he offended Vaishnava, Saubari Muni got infatuated by just looking at the fishes mating, and then he fell down from his path of transcendentalism. Then he had to marry and live like a grahastha. So that's yeah, that's then you have to go through the whole lifetimes again and again when you enter into this entangled life of material life. Yeah. So how can we get out of it? And Canto 33rd chapter 39th verse, it talks about how that when you worship Radha and Krishna, then you can easily get rid of this lust. Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna asks, well, why lust? Then Krishna says, this kama yesha, krodha yesha, rajaguna samadvaha. So here this verse also talks about anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So Vigriditam Vrajavadu Bir Idam Cha Vishnu. So that verse, so we can recite this verse every day as well, or whenever we have that kind of emotions, we can come back to this and then recite this verse. So I stop here. If any questions or correction, you can ask. So Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauranitai ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any questions? So the takeaway from this verse is have that param dristva nivartate concept, that is higher taste. Having the higher taste, you will automatically lose the lower taste. Also, anya ablash sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam krishna anugulyana selanam bhakti ruttama. So that kind of mood we should develop. So then we can definitely conquer this lust, as suggested by acharyas and Krishna himself. So thank you. I stop here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.